I should have hated him, but he made me want more. Flashback, 2 months ago. A moan slipped into the silence the moment my harness gave way. Not mine. His. Of course it was his. Joker had spent 20 long minutes fumbling at the suit, cursing, panting softly against my neck, muttering,
"Why the hell does this thing have more locks than bloody Arkham?"
And then, at last, a final click. He exhaled like a man cracking open a safe, like he'd won something. I sagged back against the wall, half-conscious, delirious. The air was thick with the stench of rust, sweat, and whatever chemical cocktail Scarecrow had pumped through the vents. I couldn't move, could barely speak.
"Found your heartbeat, Batsy,"
Joker murmured with a grin, fingers slipping under the Kevlar, brushing along damp skin.
"Thought maybe it tapped out on me. Would have missed it, you know."
He undid another clasp, slower this time. The suit peeled back in sticky layers, clinging like it didn't want to let go. His eyes glinted wide, half-dazed.
"You're warm,"
he murmured, almost to himself.
"A fever?"
He paused, considering, before breaking into a breathless laugh.
"Batman could never catch a fever."
Then, more softly,
"Could you?"
But he shook the thought away.
"Never mind. We've got more important things to address."
His breath hitched faintly as he worked the last latch free.
"Tell me, Batsy,"
he whispered,
"which part comes off next? Personally, I'd say the crotch. Love to see how much the Dark Knight's really packing. But..."
He drew in a deep, shaky breath, forcing himself calm.
"This isn't about me. I'm big on consent."
His gaze met mine, steady, sharp. I couldn't speak, didn't need to. He already knew. His trembling fingers traced the newly exposed skin, from the edge of my cowl, down the line of my throat, pausing at the armored plane of my stomach. He sighed when the armor blocked his path.
"No, no, no. This won't do."
With a snap, the last harness gave, and the torso section of my armor slid free. My breath came in uneven, shallow pulls. We had been trapped in this cell for a week, and this was the first time I was out of the suit. Joker hovered close, fingers just barely grazing skin, deliberate.
"You hide so much under here, Batsy,"
he whispered, palm pressing lightly to the base of my stomach.
"Muscle, scars, secrets. You should share more."
His thumb skimmed the buckle of my belt. I flinched. He caught it instantly.
"That twitch, that wasn't nothing."
He leaned in, his mouth a whisper from mine, breath hot and trembling.
"And I'm glad you're with me, Bats, because we're about to explore uncharted territory."
My pulse throbbed against his lips. He smiled softly.
"Now, about that crotch."
Without warning, his palm pressed down, flat, possessive, against the space just below the belt. Skin to Kevlar, sweat slick, burning.
"You're soaked,"
he murmured reverently.
"Is that all for me?"
He let out a low laugh.
"Don't answer. I want to believe it is."
Flashback ends. Present day. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Gloves on, armor sealed, everything in place, except the cowl. It sat on the table like a loaded gun. I stared at it. It stared back. The tremor wasn't from pain, wasn't withdrawal from a month of Scarecrow's chemical torture. If it were, that would have been simple. This was something else. I reached for the mask, missed, fingers twitching like they didn't belong to me. Behind me, the door creaked open. "Master Wayne," Alfred said. No polite throat clear first. That's how I knew he was in agony. "You're not ready." I didn't answer, just kept staring at the cowl. Alfred stepped closer. "You can't even grip it properly." I tried again. Got it on the second attempt. The shaking didn't stop. "Bruce," Alfred said softly now, "this isn't about the toxin, or recovery time. You know that." I did, but I saw it again, just for a second, a shape in the mirror, pale, smiling, standing behind me like a ghost I hadn't earned the right to exercise. Then it was gone. I blinked, fastened the cowl into place. The snap echoed too loud in the room. Alfred moved, blocking the window. "Don't do this," he said quietly. "He's not out there tonight. And even if he was, you're not ready for him." I wanted to tell Alfred this wasn't about the Joker, but that would have been an unnecessary lie. I stepped past him, out into the cold. Later that night, Gotham screamed beneath me. Sirens, tires, someone arguing over a dead phone line. Somewhere, a baby wouldn't stop crying. The city didn't know how to be quiet, but my body did. It was more discreet now. Numb, mostly, except for the phantom heat still lodged behind my ribs. A burning ache I refused to name. I spent the night scouring every ruin he ever laughed in. An old carnival, a condemned funeral parlor, a burnt-out fishery, the orphanage, the candy factory, all empty, like he'd been vacuumed off the earth. Or worse, like he was waiting. The last place was a warehouse near the docks. I wasn't even sure if it had been his. The walls were tagged with old smiley faces and dried blood. It could have been anyone's. Still, I was there. I ran my hand along a rust-flaked wall, paused, pressed. The panel clicked. A seam split open and hissed, revealing a false panel, and behind that, a wardrobe, a full walk-in. Purple. So much goddamn purple. Rows of suits, pressed and preserved like relics, neat as coffins, some clean, others blood-stained, one missing a sleeve. Then the smell hit me. Powder, sweat, something sweet rotting at the edges. And then... Flashback, 2 months ago.
"You want me to stop making you feel this way, Batsy?"
His voice cracked.
"And then stop needing me, because I need you right now."
I turned toward the sound. He writhed as much as someone paralyzed could, still crackling through the pain. Scarecrow's neural implant had flipped the roles. This time, he was the one frozen. I wasn't. Smoke curled off his suit, fabric hissing and bubbling, searing into skin. The iconic purple blistered and burned. His chest spasmed. Still, he grinned.
"Don't look so serious, Bats. Just a little foreplay."
I didn't move. He arched, clothes melting to flesh, skin reddening, blotching, raw in patches.
"Come on,"
he coughed.
"Help me out before I come to pieces."
I moved, hands finding buttons, yanking, tearing, something less than care, something more than urgency. He moaned.
"Easy now, sweetheart. You'll ruin the fantasy."
The shirt peeled away in steaming shreds. Underneath, pale skin, raw and blotchy, slick with sweat.
"See? I always knew you wanted to undress me."
"Shut up!"
"Oh no, darling. Not when you're touching me like that."
I gritted my teeth, kept pulling, kept peeling.
"I mean, Jesus. If I'd known pain turned you on this much, I'd have set myself on fire sooner."
"Joker!"
"Rip it off, Bats. Come on, be gentle, like a hammer."
I stopped, hands shaking, breath shallow, the air thick, chemical. His laugh thinned, catching on a hitch of breath.
"Don't stop now,"
he whispered.
"You're so close."
His trousers were next, charred at the seams, clinging where they shouldn't. My hands moved on their own, gripping, peeling, dragging fabric down inch by inch. Pale skin emerged, streaking with sweat and angry burns. That smirk still painted across his face.
"Oh,
he breathed, reverent.
You're really doing it."
I didn't answer, couldn't. My throat was tight, my mouth dry. He arched his hips, slow, obscene, and I helped. The waistband caught on his hips. He hissed, not from pain.
"You want to stop?" he whispered. "So stop."
I didn't. My fingers dripped lower, hooking the last barrier, dragging it down like a man stripping off his own shame. He was hard. God help me, he was hard. My pulse stuttered, his breath hitched.
"You see it now, don't you?"
he rasped.
"This isn't just me."
I froze. He leaned in, voice low, wicked.
"In case you're wondering, this is all you, Batsy."
I hated how his words stirred me. My palm ghosted across his thigh. I didn't mean to, not really. Instinct, something primal, something wrong. My stomach twisted, my skin burned as much as his. He shuddered, moaned, and I closed my eyes, hating the heat flooding through me, hating how close I was to giving in. Back to present. I jolted, slamming the compartment shut like it would silence the memories that plagued me day and night. I needed to find him. I needed to find the Joker and put an end to this madness, once and for all. 2 weeks later, and I had effectively torn Gotham's underbelly apart looking for him. Could I have been more subtle? Maybe. Could I have broken fewer bones and fewer people? Definitely. But that wasn't the point. I needed the Joker to know I was coming, and I needed him to be ready. Yet, nothing. No whisper, no riddle, no cards, just a hollow ache and the sound of my own boots on broken concrete. And when I finally came home, it wasn't rest I found. It was Alfred. "Master Bruce," he said, his hands folded like he was delivering a eulogy. "I understand you're dealing with things in your own way, but Gotham still needs Bruce Wayne, the man, not just the mask." I told him the man was dead. He told me the Gotham Bull was being held at the manor this year. I told him absolutely not. He ignored me, like he always does when he's right. So now I stood in my own house, wrapped in a tux instead of armor, nursing a smile I didn't mean, and a scotch I didn't want, while strangers danced on marble floors I paid for. Without the suit, I felt almost exposed, which is ridiculous. I could drop half the room before they blinked, but the unease didn't come from threat. It came from something worse, familiarity. I caught myself scanning exits, counting threats, mapping weak spots, not because I had to, but because I couldn't stop. That's when I saw her. Across the ballroom, just for a second. Curly black hair, pale skin, a fitted dark green dress. But it was the eyes that did it. Green, not bright, not soft, sharp, penetrating, unnerving, hungry. And in that moment, 3 seconds, maybe, I forgot how to breathe. Then she vanished, swallowed by the crowd. I blinked. What the hell was that? A waiter passed. I plucked a glass from his tray and downed it alongside my scotch in one go. Maybe Alfred was right. Maybe I did need to be Bruce Wayne for a while. But the pit in my stomach whispered otherwise. 4 hours later, the party had thinned. Good. I slipped away as the orchestra played its final notes, nodding politely to the mayor and a few board members on my way out. Maybe I could squeeze in a few hours on patrol before anyone noticed the host had vanished. Up the stairs, 2 at a time, loosened my tie, rolled my shoulder, still sore, but manageable. Then I saw it. My bedroom door, slightly ajar. Every instinct in me went still. No staff had reason to be here, not tonight, not ever. I softened my steps, breath by breath, easing the door open. Darkness, but not empty. First thing I saw, heels, sharp black stilettos by the foot of the bed. Then the dress, dark green, draped like liquid ivy over the armrest. My eyes tracked it up, recognition hit, the woman from earlier. My hand was already reaching for the hidden batarang in my jacket.
"Easy now, Batsy."
A voice drooled from the dark. I froze.
"Didn't come looking for a fight. Or should I say Brucey, since you're out of uniform?"
My gaze shot to the balcony. There he stood, silhouetted against the city glow, barefoot, relaxed, smoking a fat cigar like he owned the skyline, wearing nothing but tight polyester briefs, with my logo all over them. 3 strides, and I had him pinned against the glass by the throat. His grin didn't falter.
Missed you too.
What the hell are you doing here? I growled. He shrugged, or tried to, under my grip.
Figured I'd better show up before you flattened the entire underworld looking for me.
My hand tightened. His lips paled, then bloomed, but he didn't fight, just stared, like he was waiting. Then, soft, choked.
So, what now?
I didn't answer. Couldn't. The contact, the pressure, the closeness, it all came rushing back. The heat, the hallucinations, his voice whispering in the dark.
I already told you before. If you want me to stop making you feel this way,
He smiled faintly.
then stop needing me.
My fingers twitched, trembled. Then I let go. He coughed once, catching his breath, chuckling.
You still got the jitters, huh?
He lifted the cigar, his hand shaking, just a little, before he stubbed it out on the rail.
Me too, Bats. Me too.
He rubbed his throat, smiling through the rasp.
You're getting soft.
You broke into my home, I said flatly.
Correction!
He raised a finger.
I broke into your party first, mingled, drank champagne, almost danced. Honestly, I was a delight. You don't belong there.
He looked at me then, really looked, and smiled softer. Neither did you. Silence stretched. Neither of us filled it. His eyes flicked down my frame. Not leering, just observing. Like he was cataloguing tension he hadn't caused, but planned to own. His fingers lifted suddenly, brushing my open collar.
You always wear suits like their punishment.
Let's go.
Why? Is it working?
He tugged gently on my loosened tie.
You wear all this armor, Kevlar or cashmere, and still look like you're seconds from shattering.
I stepped in, closer than close, until the only thing separating us was breath. Don't test me. His smile widened.
I live to.
His fingers found the knot again, slower this time, smoother.
You don't have to hit me.
He murmured, voice dropping low.
You don't even have to kiss me, but I'm not leaving.
I should have thrown him out the window, but I didn't, because somewhere between the gala and this balcony, my pulse had shifted rhythm, and I hated what that said about me. So I asked, "What now?" He looked up, lashes thick, grin gone.
Because I couldn't stay away,
He said, honest like a wound.
and neither could you.
He stepped forward, bare skin brushed fabric, his breath ghosted against my jaw.
Don't lie to me, Bruce.
His fingers slipped under my collarbone.
Tell me to stop.
I didn't. He pressed his mouth to the base of my throat, soft, maddening. Still, I didn't. His mouth brushed mine, barely, like a dare. I didn't flinch. His lips moved again, firmer, sliding, testing, and I kissed him. Not soft, not sweet, hungry. The kind of kiss you give when your body's been aching for weeks, and you hate them for it. His hands tangled in my collar, mine curled around his hips, dragging him close, needing proof he was real, that he'd been real all along. And then... "Master Bruce?" Alfred's voice sliced the dark like a whip. I spun toward the door, every instinct snapping back, already calculating lies. But when I turned back, the balcony was empty. Curtains swaying in the breeze. No cigar, no smirk, no joker. Just the faintest trace of smoke in the air, and the taste of him on my lips. Was he ever here? I didn't know, but my hands were still trembling. And that was real. 1 week later. I'd been fooling myself, telling myself that I could just track him down, wipe that grin off his face, beat the white off his skin. It would all stop. The tension, the phantom heat, the nights I woke up sweating, breathless, shaking with something I didn't want to name. But then he broke into my house, into my room, and I didn't lift a finger? Worse. I was relieved to see him. That's the part I couldn't explain. Not to Alfred, not even to myself. I'd had a full week to sit with it. A full week of not being Batman, not being Bruce Wayne either. Just existing. Hovering in that raw, unsettled space between the two, where everything felt too loud and too sharp. Dick and Barbara had been holding down Gotham in the meantime. They were good at it. Almost too good. Made me wonder if the city even needed me anymore, which left me alone with my thoughts, alone with the memories. It had started 2 months ago. Scarecrow had set the stage, backed Joker and me into the same brutal corner. We tore through Gotham like twin storms, the whole city caught in the crossfire, and when the dust settled, Crane swooped in. He took us both, locked us up, ran his twisted little experiments, every day a new test, every hour a new kind of suffering. That's where we went wrong. For over a month, we were isolated, stripped down, chemically destabilized, forced to watch each other suffer. He was there when I broke my silence. I was there when he forgot how to laugh. And then, he died. At least, I thought he had. Flashback, 2 months ago. It was day 2 of the second month. I hadn't slept. Couldn't. The Joker had stopped twitching. His skin had gone cold, even for him. There was no blood, no breath, no whisper of movement. Just his body, still on that metal table, his lips parted like the punchline of a joke no one laughed at. I couldn't look at him anymore, but I couldn't look away either. That's when Scarecrow came in. He moved to inspect the body, monologuing, of course, something about how the gas had taken longer to liquefy Joker's lungs than expected. I barely heard it. My body was still numb from the last round of electrocution, Scarecrow's new favorite trick, thanks to the neural chip he'd buried in my spine. Every nerve felt like it was screaming in a different language, but I saw it. The flick of Joker's hand, the sudden, lethal motion as he lunged off the table and wrapped his fingers around Crane's throat. It wasn't a struggle, it was an execution. Scarecrow didn't even have time to gasp. When Joker let go, Crane was nothing but a crumpled heap on the floor. He didn't say a word, just turned to me and stared. 1 whole minute, maybe more. I was strapped to the chair, still trembling from the latest shock, sweat burning in my eyes. He didn't smile, he didn't smirk, just looked at me, hard, like he saw something in me worth remembering, and then he walked away. Didn't run, didn't help. He really didn't need to, because he knew I'd be right behind him the moment I caught my breath. Flashback end. Present day, 2 weeks later. The days dragged on agonizingly. I'd stare at the monitors like they were static. Barbara would brief me, and I'd nod. But I wasn't really there. I wasn't in the cave. I wasn't even in my own damn skin. I hadn't been in a long time. Alfred still insisted I shouldn't patrol yet, and I obeyed, partly out of guilt, partly because I feared what I'd do if I saw his face again. Then came Thursday night. I was midway through debriefing Barbara about her harbor assignment. Low-level smugglers, no sign of you-know-who, when I heard footsteps coming down the steel staircase. Heavy, confident ones. I didn't need to turn. That walk was always Dick. He strolled in already halfway into his Nightwing suit, brushing past the Batmobile like it was furniture. "Suiting up?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Barbara paused and cocked a brow at him. "What's going on?" Dick's grin was all teeth. Gordon got a solid lead. Joker's in an old Siamese warehouse near the Narrows. C4 in the basement, chemical drums in the back. We're heading in with a full GCPD strike team. Then he turned to me. "You in?" I hesitated. The heat that spiked in my chest wasn't adrenaline. It was something colder. "I think Alfred would sooner sedate me than let me near the suit again," I muttered. Barbara smirked. "Fair, I'll go." She tugged on her gloves and turned to Dick. "What time's the bust?" He checked his watch. 10 p.m. sharp. 1 hour. They left after a few more exchanged glances and half smirks. Once their footsteps faded, silence returned, and then Alfred stepped forward. He didn't speak right away, just walked up to the central console and placed it down, my cowl, right between us. "You know what I think, Master Bruce," he said quietly, like he was handing me a confession. "I think the Joker has gone to great lengths to remain unseen, quiet, not exactly his style, not unless he's waiting for someone." My chest tightened. Alfred looked up at me, calm, stern, but not unkind. "Would be a shame if all that effort was for nothing." He didn't need to say anything else. I grabbed the cowl with one hand. With the other, I squeezed his shoulder. "Thank you, Alfred." He only gave me a nod, but it wasn't enough. 1 hour later. The warehouse was quieter than it should have been. No guards, no traps, not even a damn lock on the rusted back entrance. My boots echoed as I stepped across broken concrete and rust-stained metal, each breath fogging in the cold. It was 10:06 p.m. No sign of Nightwing or Barbara yet, just emptiness. Then I saw him. Curled against the far wall like discarded cloth, arms limp, shoulders hunched, stubble creeping across his jaw. His hair was dull, matted, green only in memory. His skin wasn't chalk white. It was sallow, sickly. He looked tired. Not the "I've had a rough week" tired. No, this was something deeper. Existential, fractured. I approached slowly, cautiously, expecting a trick. But nothing moved except for a sluggish turn of his head. His eyes met mine, and they weren't wild or gleaming. Just dull, bruised beneath. "Joker!" He blinked once. "Betsy?" I crouched a few feet away, still ready to strike, still waiting for the punchline. "You're not gonna like this," he said, voice rasped from disuse. "But I tipped them off." "What?" He looked up at the ceiling. "The cops, strike team, Gordon. I left breadcrumbs big enough to choke on." He smiled, barely. "Told myself maybe it was time." "Time for what?" He shrugged. "Time to end the joke. The one where I'm me." His words hit like shrapnel. No sarcasm, no chaos, just defeat. And the worst part? I understood. "Joker." "Don't call me that," he cut in softly. "That guy's dead. Or he's somewhere in here." He tapped his skull, rotting like the rest of it. I moved closer, sitting across from him. The cold seeped through my armor. "You're not the only one who didn't walk out of that cell the same," I said. "You think I haven't been trying to hold it together? That I haven't questioned everything since we got out?" He looked at me again, really looked, like he was seeing through the cowl. "You kept me alive in there," I continued. "Not because you cared, I get that, but because you needed me, and maybe I needed you too." He opened his mouth, but I didn't let him interrupt. "There were nights I thought that was it, that I'd rot in that pit, screaming against my own mind, but you, your stupid face, your games, your noise, they kept me fighting. Every time I started slipping, you pulled me back with some twisted joke or plan or illusion. And when I thought you were dead, when I saw your body lying still, I broke. Something in me broke, and I don't think I ever got it back." He swallowed hard, eyes unreadable. "I don't know what's left of me, Joker, but whatever it is, I know this. You helped me once. Let me help you now." Silence. Then he chuckled, low, almost warm. "Oh, Betsy, are you going to show up at the window of my prison cell with a boombox?" I didn't flinch. "I'm serious." His face shifted. Regret? maybe? Recognition, or something worse? Hope. Then he stood. I stood with him, slow, unsure. He took a step forward, closing the gap. His eyes bored into mine, inches between us. His breath was faintly metallic. Then I heard the clink. I looked down. Grenade. Reflex kicked in. I dove backward, cape wrapped around me, but the boom never came, not from the grenade. Instead, pshht! Thick green gas exploded into the room like a fog machine on steroids. My optics scrambled. Then the warehouse exploded into motion. Windows shattered, the back door blew inward, smoke bombs, flashbangs, and shouting. GCPD strike team pouring in from every angle. Dick dove in through the side skylight in full Nightwing gear, followed by Barbara with a tactical baton and a scowl. Spotlights lit up the haze just as the grenade the Joker dropped continued to spew gas. Not lethal, just thick and disorienting. In the confusion, he was gone. Gordon's voice cut through the chaos. "You've gotta be kidding me!" I turned slowly to find him glaring at me, trench coat flaring, jaw locked. "We had him, Batman! We had him! And you just happened to be here ahead of my team? Uninvited?" I didn't answer, because I couldn't. Not without unraveling the last 2 months in front of a room full of cops. Dick looked between us, confused. Barbara's brows narrowed, clearly piecing the scene together. But Gordon wasn't done. "You better pray this doesn't come back to bite us, because if I find out you compromised this operation..." "I didn't," I said quietly. "He played us both." Gordon shook his head and stormed off, barking orders to his team. Joker was gone, again, and the only thing more unnerving than losing him was that I wasn't sure I wanted to catch him anymore. 1 week later. The strange thing about peace is how empty it can feel when you're used to chaos. I hadn't seen him since the warehouse, not even a shadow in my periphery, not in the corner of alleyways, not in my nightmares, and for the first time in months, I'd stopped looking. Because for the first time in months, I'd told the truth to him, and just like that, the haunting stopped. No more laughter echoing where it shouldn't. No more flashes of white and green in passing trains or darkened rooftops. No more seeing him every time I blinked too long. He was gone, and I was still here, bruised in places the medbay couldn't reach. But Gotham was less forgiving. Gordon didn't hold back at the press conference. He never said my name, but he didn't have to. Words like interference, failure, and reckless presence painted the picture well enough. It was time. Time to stop pretending I could keep being Bruce Wayne. Time to stop pretending I still fit inside the cowl. Time to step back from a city I couldn't protect from myself. I just needed to go, and I needed to go alone. The last of my luggage thudded onto the ship deck. The ocean breeze curled through my coat, crisp and cleansing. I inhaled it like a man breaking the surface after too long underwater. Alfred stood beside me, stoic. "Are you sure, Master Bruce? I can accompany you, at least until you find your footing." I turned to him, eyes soft. "Don't need you here." He followed my gaze to Dick and Barbara standing at the edge of the dock, both in their civilian clothes, though they looked more like Gotham's new sentinels than I ever had. "They'll be fine," Alfred said. "But you don't have to do this alone." "I do." Dick stepped forward, hands in his pockets. "You still haven't said when you're coming back." I paused. The sky was grey, the kind of Gotham grey that clung to your ribs. "I don't know." Barbara frowned. "Will you come back?" My eyes moved across the water, then back to the skyline, the jagged line of rooftops I'd memorized, like scripture, the faint silhouette of the city I'd bled for. "I don't know," I said. The ship's engines hummed to life, low and steady. I started toward the gangplank, then turned back one last time. "Gotham's in your hands now." Dick saluted, half joking, half choked up. "Don't crash the boat." Barbara just nodded, arms folded tightly. She didn't need to say anything. Neither did Alfred. I stepped aboard and didn't look back. 1 hour later. It had only been an hour, but I could already tell something was off. We were at sea, all right, the gentle sway, the salt in the air, the hum of the ship beneath my feet. But it was too quiet, unnaturally so. No idle chatter from the crew, no footsteps, no radio static, nothing. I stepped out of my room, did a full loop of the deck, checked the engine room, the kitchen, even storage. Confirmed what I already suspected. The crew was gone. By the time I made it to the bridge, he was there, standing at the helm with his back to me. A half-finished Cuban clenched between his teeth, smoke curling lazily into the low-lit cabin. The same posture I'd seen 1,000 times, in different nightmares. One hand on the wheel, one probably too close to some kind of detonator. I kept my voice flat.
Where's the crew?
Silence. I took a step forward, slowly, measured. My instincts flared, but I didn't act, not yet. Then he spoke, voice dripping with that old theatrical glee.
Easy now, Batsy. There's no need to get all tensed up.
That laugh, low, unhurried, a little hoarse like he hadn't used it in a while, slid under my skin like a cold blade. He still hadn't turned around.
You did something to them,
I said.
Oh, relax. I simply made sure no one else boarded and told the crew their services weren't needed.
He chuckled.
Call it a private getaway.
I wasn't surprised. Not anymore. I walked up beside him, close enough to smell the smoke, to feel the heat coming off his coat. He was thinner than I remembered.
So, what is this? Your idea of a honeymoon?
I asked. He turned then, just slightly, enough to glance at me from the corner of his eye, just enough for the smile to show.
You wound me, darling. This isn't a honeymoon. This is therapy.
I huffed a breath, not quite a laugh.
Funny, I thought you flew the coop because you couldn't handle a little truth.
He tilted his head, that grin twitching.
Ah, touché. You did catch me off guard, I'll give you that. But I've had time to think now, and I figured...
He spread his arms wide, letting the wheel drift.
Why not figure out the rest of this mess together?
There it was again. Something too sincere flickering beneath the madness. A broken honesty he barely knew what to do with. I leaned on the railing beside him, looking out to the open water, black and endless.
So,
I said after a beat.
Where to?
He tapped ash from his cigar, eyes narrowed toward the horizon like it meant something to him.
We can't exactly get there by boat,
he murmured. Then that grin sharpened again, crooked and gleaming.
But I've heard Smallville's nice this time of year.
Conclusion. We spent months at sea. No Gotham, no villains, just open water, silence, and the one man I never thought I'd let in. It wasn't easy. Being trapped with the Joker was its own kind of madness, but somehow it wasn't the destructive kind. We talked, we fought, we fell quiet, and then, little by little, we talked again. I told him things I'd never told Alfred. He stopped wearing the paint some days, let himself just be. We never said the word trauma. We didn't have to. It was there in every silence, every cigarette, every nightmare we didn't bother explaining. Bit by bit, we started to heal. Not fully, maybe not even mostly, but enough. Eventually, we reached Smallville. We couldn't stay long, not with our names, not with our pasts, but it was nice, just like he said it would be. Quiet, kind, real. He baked a terrible pie, then he tried again, and for the first time in forever, I remember what it felt like to breathe without armor. I don't know if we were redeemed. I don't even know if we deserved to be. But for a while, we had peace. And for once, that was enough. The end. Do you think things can work out between Batman and the Joker? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.